Kiko Loureiro, how's it going with you in the land of music?
Always. As far as I keep playing my guitar, everything is great.
Well, that's good stuff. Now, your new album, Sounds of Innocence, I mean, this guitar sound you got in there is very, very unique. The tone, quality. And this must be used with your signature guitars and amps, I'm assuming.
Yeah, actually, yes, of course. But of course, in the studio, you experiment a lot. You have more time. You have possibilities to bring a lot of gear. And then, of course, I use all the products that I endorse, but other stuff as well. And I recorded this album in Finland, in Europe, and in the studio, the guys have some other stuff. So, it's a great place to experiment sound as well.
Now, Kiko, what would be some of the influences you used to find, the solo patterns and stuff? Because you're using some interesting models, for making these sounds and solos and rhythms.
Well, there's a lot of influences, of course. I've been playing guitar for a long time, more than, I don't know, like almost 30 years I've been playing guitar. And so, well, it's a mix of Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, all this rock bands that got me into music. Iron Maiden, this metal, Metallica. And a lot of, I'm from Brazil, so a lot of Brazilian music as well. From the bossa nova to the great classical music from Brazil or the native music from Brazil. I like to listen to all kinds of music. So I was trying to mix all this rock, and then of course the guitar players, in general. Of course, Jeff Beck or Steve Vai or Steve Morse. Hendrix, Eric Johnson, all the guitar players are really, Robin Ford or B.B. King, from blues to jazz, like George Benson or John Scofield. All these musicians, they influenced me somehow, but I always try to keep my Brazilian roots in my music somehow, and of course classical composers as well. So I try to mix everything somehow. And but of course, the rock, the fast playing is very present.
Like, let's say to develop some of these tones, is it hard to do them, on stage compared to what you got it in the studio?
What is difficult to reproduce on stage, because my album, I think on the composition, I don't think how I'm gonna play that live. I'm more like a composer, and I try to add a lot of stuff. A little bit more like Steve Vai does, or I don't know, some like progressive bands, Yes, or whatever, Dream Theater, add a lot of stuff. It's not, I don't record my album like in a trio or something very live in studio kind of thing. So I add a lot of layers, I add a lot of keyboard layers, and then live, it's hard. You have to choose the best parts, the more present parts.
Right.
And then maybe adding some keyboards or having a second guitar player to help. But I really like to work like that, recording many guitar layers and solo rhythm guitars and building a song in a full arrangement for a song. That's the way I like to do my album.
Now, one other thing we see is the conflicted music video. Now, the sound quality is very great on this, and we get to see your fingers moving very fast at parts. What do you think of promo videos nowadays, to promote music?
Well, that's super necessary. I don't know. Of course, it's super necessary. If, YouTube is like, I don't know, like 90. I don't know the number, but it's something like 90% of the internet is kind of based on videos, right? Or it's gonna be based on a video. So you have to do it, have to not only do some music videos, but, messages or like teaching how to play guitar, little videos, short clips of how to play the song, or message to the fans. You have to constantly do that. I put a lot of, in my YouTube channel, I put a lot of scenes from the actual recordings of the album. I think it's really cool. It's something that I always wanted to see from my guitar heroes,
Right.
how they recorded and how it was the moment of creativity on the studio. So in my YouTube channel, Kiko Loureiro Official, you can find a lot of the real moments of the recordings. I think it's important for the fans of people who likes guitar to see that, the real moment of where you're creating, the solos, creating the music.
Now, Kiko, how's the Brazil metal scene in general right now? Is it doing very well with economy in music in Brazil?
Yeah, economy is doing great compared to our past, but in the international bands are coming a lot because the economy is doing good, so can afford bands going there for tour. And the metal scene, like the local bands, we have great musicians and great tradition of music, but not much for rock and metal. The Brazilian music is well known for the carnival, for the samba, for all these Latin grooves and things. But we do have a lot of great bands there in Brazil. But the market somehow, the scene, for shows and for touring inside Brazil for this kind of music is still quite tough. It's still quite tough for the bands to have for the musicians to live from music, to live from their bands. Different from other styles. Some other styles in Brazil, like the more related to the samba, to our traditions, they can tour more and survive more with their music.
And let's say in the whole world, is there some places that is just thriving in great music nowadays? From what you're seeing, that it's continuously getting better and better.
Well, music is, I don't know. It's like depending on what kind of music you like and what kind of music you want to see. Everywhere you can find stuff, and then for the music I do, Japan is always, they really like this kind of music. They were very supportive. Asia in general, it's like China is showing a great respect for the guitar players, and then it seems to be a great scene. People is kind of discovering now how to play guitar, and the guitar heroes playing in China, in Asia in general. So I've been there a few times doing guitar clinics and shows. It's great. It's always great. It's always, packed. In Europe, some places are great. It's always like Italy, France, great countries to do this. I'm talking about the guitar-oriented music more,
right?
Or like guitar-oriented music. Brazil is good too. For me, it's really good. I'm Brazilian, my fan base is pretty much there, so it was always good for me. But and for well-known guitar players, I don't know, Steve Vai or Satriani, they can play like concert for people easily there. So it is still a good market, Brazil as well, South America in general.
So Kiko, let's say when you take simulation effects, do you look into the ways they make amplifier effects with pedals now instead of buying the actual tube amp? And what do you think of that as a guitarist?
Well, I'm using the Lane amps with a British amp. It's totally tube amps, and I need that. I'm old-fashioned in this regard. We have some new, like Fractal Audio is really good stuff, and some pedal, great job. So it depends on the situation, but in general, the tube amp is the real thing. But of course it's big, and you have to carry. You have to have if you have like a small, home studio or something smaller, it's easier to have like a, digital things.
All right.
It depends what you want, what you need. I use both. You have the small digital stuff when I have to travel, when I need something remote to play in a hotel or something, or doing a short small guitar clinic. And if I do like a big stage in a big festival, a big concert, then I need to have the tube amps for sure.
And Kiko, you're keeping busy with tour dates in 2013?
Yeah, well, actually, I just did Actually, I was in the blues festival last week in Brazil. It was interesting. Actually, you know what? The Brazil, some parts of Brazil, they have like a great blues thing. It's interesting that a lot of great blues players and stuff like that. I was in the blues festival, and then now in March I'm playing in Brazil, tour there, some festivals and some gigs, and then Mexico later in June. And I'm booking now, like for Europe. It's probably in October. We're booking with Virgil Donat, and I'm looking forward to book stuff in the United States. We're working on that now.
Excellent stuff, and it seems 2013 is going very good for you.
Oh yeah. People to take a listen. I know what I like. You have Conflicted, as you mentioned. It has this like Metallica kind of riffing, and then it's very progressive. You have many different parts during the song. I believe it's very modern in many aspects, but it still brings some kind of a 80s flavor sometimes. But other songs that I write is much more into the atmosphere, much more relaxed. I try not to be like the full shredder kind of a guitar player. I really focus on the composition, the melodies, and then and I also love to play acoustic and more fusion stuff. And I'm probably gonna start preparing this year like an album focus on this other side of me, like more Brazilian things that I did a few years ago with another album I had. Universo Inverso is the name of the album. And then I try to be like very, how to say, like, I try to cover different styles of my playing and my composition. So, and I think Sounds of Innocence, it pretty much shows this Brazilian song has a lot of percussion, a lot of Brazilian atmospheres and harmonies and grooves. Other songs like the Conflicted one is much more progressive and heavy, modern. So I just invite people to take a listen to the whole album and understand the music I like to do, the music I'm proposing.
Well, Kiko Loureiro, excellent work on this album, and keep up the great work with your guitars and sound quality. Very good.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome, and you have a great 2013.
Okay, you too, Jason.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thanks a lot for the interview, man.